She was grocery shopping at a supermarket in Korea when her phone rang, and it changed everything. Nobody saw Yerin Ha coming. Not the Bridgerton fanbase, not the critics, and honestly, not even Yerin Ha herself. Because when her agent first called about an audition for one of the most watched shows on Netflix, she was standing in the middle of a Lotte Mart, probably debating which instant noodles to pick up. That call set off a 10-day whirlwind that nobody on the inside is calling normal. A self-tape recorded in less than 24 hours. A chemistry read at 11 p.m. that left her a nervous wreck. A callback over Zoom with the executive producer himself. And a confirmation call she received at brunch with her mum in Gangnam. A moment so cinematic, it almost writes itself. And here's what makes this story so different from every other casting story you've heard. This woman has royalty running through her veins. Acting royalty. And nobody is really talking about what that means. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see Yerin Ha in a completely different light. Let's start at the very beginning. Because if you want to understand why Yerin Ha was always going to end up somewhere like Bridgerton, you need to know where she comes from. Yerin Ha was born in Sydney, Australia, to South Korean parents who met each other while studying at drama school. Think about that for a second. Her family's origin story is literally a romance between two acting students. And her grandmother, Son Suk, and her grandfather, Kim Song-ok, were linchpins of the Seoul theater community in the late 20th century, with Son Suk also winning 6 Baek Arts Awards across her film and TV career. The Baek, by the way, is essentially the Korean Oscars. This woman didn't just grow up around acting, she grew up inside one of Korea's most prestigious acting dynasties. Watching her grandmother transform into different characters never felt strange to Yerin. It simply felt like play. She said it just seemed like so much fun and so liberating. But there was one specific moment that crystallized everything. One of her clearest childhood memories is watching Son Suk perform a one-woman play, where the veteran actress held a pillow like a baby and cried, and prompted the entire audience to cry with her. That was the moment. That was when Yerin knew. At 15, she auditioned for the K-won High School of Arts in Seoul and got in, studying there for 3 years. Not easy for a teenager from Sydney. She describes those 3 years as really tough. A new country, a high-pressure art school, performing in a language that wasn't her everyday language. But she pushed through, and then she came back to Australia and did it all again, graduating from the National Institute of Dramatic Art, NIDA, whose alumni include Kate Blanchett, Baz Luhrmann, and Sarah Snook. This is not someone who stumbled into Bridgerton. This is someone who was built for it, piece by piece, year by year. Now let's get to the audition, because this is where it gets genuinely wild. Yerin was visiting her mum in Korea when she got the call to audition, and based on what she shared at the Korean press conference, she was grocery shopping at Lotte Mart when her agent called and asked, "You know Bridgerton, right?" Of course, she said yes. And then she found out what she was actually auditioning for. When her agent told her it was for Bridgerton, she thought it was a supporting role. Then she realized, oh no, this is for the lead. They were going to cast an East Asian woman for the lead. She was standing in a Korean supermarket, and she just found out she might be the next Bridgerton lead. She had to send the self-tape within 24 hours. And here's the part that kills me. She thought her British accent was terrible. She'd spent her whole career prepping for American roles, never expecting to crack the UK market. She'd practiced her American accent, but never her British accent. She hadn't thought she'd be able to penetrate the UK television market. So she records this tape, accent she doesn't fully trust, under a 24-hour deadline from her mom's home in Korea, and she sends it in. A couple days later, she received a call back over Zoom with Kelly Valentine, the casting director, and Tom Verica, the executive producer and director. That's already a big deal. But the moment everyone wants to talk about came next, the chemistry read with Luke Thompson. because of the time difference, the Zoom call happened at 11 p.m. Korea time. She was nervous the entire day. She even admitted she felt loopy by the time the call started. But here's what she did with those nerves. She assumed Thompson probably had a full day of auditions and was tired, so she didn't want to waste his time. She didn't even really have chit-chat. She went straight into the work. Pure professionalism, even half asleep at 11 p.m. And what did Luke Thompson take away from that Zoom call? He said that despite the artifice of an audition, the Zoom delay, and the shaky internet connection, they were actually talking to each other. That's it. That's the chemistry. Two people separated by time zones and video lag, and the connection was undeniable enough that the casting director and executive producer both felt it through a screen. A few days later, while having brunch with her mother at a spot in Gangnam, Seoul, she got the call confirming she had been cast as Sophie Baek. From a 24-hour self-tape to lead actress on Netflix's biggest period romance, it all happened within the span of 10 days from her first audition to hearing she got the role. She called it, emotionally, a roller coaster. But here's the thing the headlines aren't really focusing on. The show changed to fit her. The makers of Bridgerton changed Sophie's last name to Baek to make the character accurate to her casting. Korean last names rarely get this recognition outside of K-dramas, so this was fairly significant. The production didn't just cast an Asian actress and leave the character unchanged. They rewrote history, literally, to honor her identity. And then once she arrived on set, the experience floored her. The director Tom Verica gave her a tour of the sets beforehand, and she remembers turning to him and simply saying, "Thank you for casting me." She felt like she'd stepped through her TV. Now I want to talk about what happened after, because the grandmother story is something else entirely. Yerin's grandmother, Sun Suk, watched the entire Bridgerton series. She said she watched it close to the TV because her eyesight isn't great. She texted Yerin that she was proud and that she loved her. And then, about the more intimate scenes, she said she was a bit surprised, which, honestly, same. But the moment that hit the hardest, Sun Suk appeared on a Korean variety program and said of her granddaughter, "Looks like she's a better actress than me." A woman with 6 Baeksang Arts Awards said her granddaughter is better than her. And then Yerin said something that absolutely stopped me. She said that in the past, she was introduced as Sun Suk's granddaughter Ha Yerin, but now, her grandmother introduces herself as Ha Yerin's grandmother, Sun Suk. Do you feel that? The tables didn't just turn, they flipped completely. A Korean legend now carries her granddaughter's name as her introduction. That is not just a casting story. That is a generational shift. So when you watch Yerin Ha glide through a Regency ballroom in that silver mask, remember what's underneath it. A girl who left Sydney at 15 for a Korean art school. A girl who recorded a self-tape with a British accent she didn't trust, under a 24-hour deadline, from her mom's house. A girl who sat through a chemistry read at 11 p.m., nervous all day, and still managed to make Luke Thompson feel like they were actually talking to each other. And a granddaughter who didn't just live up to a legendary name. She made the legend carry hers. If you want more on what's coming for Yerin and Luke in Part 2, and trust me, we have some thoughts, hit subscribe. We drop Bridgerton and Lukerin content every single week, and you do not want to miss what's next. Drop a comment below. Do you think Yerin was always destined for this role, or was it pure luck?